Greetings, drinking buddies. Today we're going to be answering a really important question. Is Rip Van Winkle, or the Van Winkle line, or the Pappy line, whatever you want to call it, is it overrated? Now, how we're going to do that? We're going to be doing some blinds.
I'm your drinking buddy.
All right, drinking buddies. So now that I've finally landed this nice here bottle of old Rip Van Winkle, I gotta know, how does it stack up against other good weeded bourbons? I thought about putting all of my weeded bourbons up in a weeded bourbon free-for-all, and I had a feeling that the four winners would be these four bottles. So I decided to roll with these four bottles. Two that almost made the cut were Weller 12, but I felt like the 90 proof would be too low for what we're doing here. And Larceny Barrel Proof, which is 121 proof, and I felt that that proof point might be too high for what we're doing here. So I left those two bottles out that I feel like could have made the cut. The Larceny Barrel Proof isn't my favorite, but I feel like it's one that a lot of people like, so it'd be very cool to see in the test like this. And the Weller 12 is just fantastic, but the lower proof I don't think would match up very well against these. The lowest proof on here is going to be this Wilderness Trail, and it's 100 proof. Then we have next up is the Pappy. I'm sorry, I'm probably going to get called out in the comments if I call it Pappy. The Van Winkle here is 107, and then we have 109.1, and then we have 114. So lowest, next. I poured them and mixed the glasses up. They're blind. I don't know which is which. I have no idea what I'm gonna pick as my favorite. I would lean towards it being one of these two. But we do have a couple dark horses here. This Wilderness Trail Bottled and Bond is really fantastic weeded bourbon. 100 proof. It's a single barrel product though, so sometimes they might differ from batch to batch. The one I got is phenomenal. Worth every penny. If you see these in the store, pick them up because they're not really all that hard to find. The FAE02, it's a limited release, so I was also a little not sure about putting that in here. But I felt like the Maker's 46 is not quite good enough to stack up against some of these other bottles. And you know, some of the other nice Maker's products I have are things like this, which is another limited release product. This is a private selection where Total Wine picked these staves and made this bottle. So we got the four. That was a lot of explanation. I say we jump right in. So number one, it's got a little bit of a citrusy nose. There's a little bit of charred oak in there. It's a little barny. Barn, not barney, not like the dinosaur. It smells kind of like a barn. It's a little grain forward. Doesn't taste high on the proof, but it does taste peanut buttery. And this Weller Full Proof is pretty peanut buttery if I remember correctly. I've had this bottle for over a year, by the way. I am pretty diligent because it's a special one, so I've been trying not to finish it quickly. And I've even used it in blinds with friends. I've shared it with some friends, and I still have more than half of the bottle left, so that's pretty diligent. Anyway, I believe that to be the Maker's, I believe that to be the Weller Full Proof, but I could be wrong. Let's give it a little more tasting notes. So we got peanut, we got caramel and vanilla. There's a little bit of a fruity thing, but it's very subtle, very subtle. So like a little peanut butter and jelly action going on there because it's a little bit of a jam quality on the finish. Number two. Oh, you know what? I have some coffee. I'm gonna reset my palate in between. This is an old technique I learned when I used to sell colognes and perfumes. And yeah, smelling coffee in between can really help reset your sense of smell, reset your palate. Oh wow, I said the first one was citrusy on the nose. This is like an orange tree. There's like a whole orange grove. Oh yeah, really, really solid nose. Okay. There's a little peanut on that as well. A lot of the wheated bourbons have a little peanut quality going on. It does taste a little lighter on the proof than the first one. Leaning towards that being the Wilderness Trail. Not too sure, but there's also some apple on this one for sure. Yeah, this one's apple and peanuts and little baking spice. That's really nice. That's really nice. So far, they're like neck and neck. Those first two bottles are pretty close. Number 3. Oh, let's reset our palette again. Don't know if that actually works. Just a technique I learned when I used to sell colognes and perfumes. Oh, I didn't give any nose notes. Okay. Yeah, this one's a grain-forward nose again. Young bourbon nose. Young wheated bourbon nose. But it does have a little bit of a fruit thing, like a pear on the nose. I'm gonna be really bad at this. You guys are gonna take away my YouTube channel. I'm gonna get none of these right. Because I also get a little peanut note on that too. And boy, I have no idea which is which so far. I think the only thing we can really do is power through the next one, and then we'll go back through them and see if we can catch anything on the back end. Let's get a smell. Let's get a drink of water. All right. So number 4. Okay. This one's got an older nose than any of the other ones up here. So oak, charred oak, mature. Okay. So that is noticeably better than the rest. It's got a buttery consistency going on it. Just melts over the tongue. Just like leaves a great coating of all these wonderful flavors. It's sweet. It's got a like a molassesy thing going on. Vanilla. There's a vanilla thing going on. Smells fantastic. Oh yeah, that's just so good. All right, so just going off the fact that I think it's the best one so far, I feel like that has to be the Van Winkle, but I could be wrong, because I couldn't really differentiate these 3 very well, and I'm normally better at that. I think the best way I'm going to be able to do it, because they do taste kind of similar, is to go off of proof. So the lightest proof one is going to be this, second lightest on proof is going to be this, and third lightest on proof is going to be this, but these 2 are pretty close. So let's go back through. All right, drinking buddies, so I've gone back through each of them, and I feel like I know my guesses, and I'm gonna go with pretty much my gut, my first impressions of each of them. My first impressions when I went through them were that this is the Weller Full Proof, this is the Wilderness Trail, this is the FAO2, and this is the Van Winkle. I'm gonna go with that. As far as favorite to least favorite, number 4 is my favorite. I believe that to be the Van Winkle, but I'm not 100% sure. And my second favorite is actually number 2, which I believe to be the Wilderness Trail, and then 3, and then 1. So if I'm correct, my least favorite of the 4 is the Weller Full Proof, which is mind-blowing because I thought I really liked that bottle, but I could be wrong. Maybe my guesses are wrong. So once again, Weller Full Proof, Wilderness Trail, makers, Van Winkle, favorite, second favorite, third favorite, least favorite. Least favorite, splitting hairs here because they're all very good, but I think my least favorite is the first one. Let's go through and see if I got any of them right. I'm hoping for a clean sweep. Let's see. Number 1 was the Weller Full Proof. Number 2, wow, okay. Number 2 was actually the Makers, FAEO2. Which tasted so light on the proof right now. Number 3 was the Wilderness Trail, and then number 4 was the Old Rip 10. Okay, so I got 2 of the 4 right. I mixed up these 2, and interesting. So apparently I really like that Maker's FAEO too, and I love the Old Rip 10. It was the best. So I guess what this experiment has taught me is, yes, this Old Rip 10 is noticeably better than some of these other weeded bourbons, and that's probably why people go crazy for this bottle. But there are other bottles out there that are really good too. Now, I know this one's really hard to find, and I know this one's a limited release, but there are other Makers products out there that are really solid, that are experimental and fun and great. And this Wilderness Trail Bottled and Bond is not really that hard to find. So we have a fairly readily available bottle. We have a kind of an experimental thing that you can get, different versions of all the time. We have one that's, not quite as hard to find as the Van Winkle, for sure. And then, what did we learn? Van Winkle is king for a reason. Thanks for watching. Please hit that like button.